And we're live. We're live. Hey, everybody. You know, I guess I'm kind of on my wife's time. She's always 10 minutes late. So sorry about that. Running a little bit of late, but it's going to be worth it. Today is going to be a blockbuster interview. I'm trying to find something that is that I can pull up this article. There it is. Okay, I'm back like a good rash. Today, I have with me a very, very special guest, Jonathan Levy. Jonathan Levy is an attorney, practicing attorney who deals a ton with the SEC and a ton with crypto. So for lots of reasons, I thought it would be perfect to have him on. I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of peek as to what the thumbnail is going to be for today. The Corporate Transparency Act sweeps small businesses into onerous reporting requirements. When? January 1st, 2024, with today's guest, Jonathan Levy. Jonathan, welcome to the show. Great seeing you, sir.
Yeah, good to see you, Todd.
Yes. And just so I can share, in May, there were some things that happened, and I needed an attorney. Mike Adams needed an attorney, and somebody who understood the SEC, somebody who understood crypto. And we needed to beat back this hit piece that I think a lot of people are aware of out there. And you were our attorney, and thank you for that. Mission accomplished and being able to get the retraction, et cetera. But we aren't going to talk about that. You educated me this last week about the new Corporate Transparency Act disclosure requirements, which are set for January 2024. Before we go and I screen share and I show an article, Jonathan, would you give us a little bit of your background, your bona fides, and just because I need people to recognize we have a genuine, authentic subject matter expert here on all things SEC and all things crypto.
Right. Well, I've been a California attorney for over 30 years. I'm also a solicitor in England, Ireland, British Virgin Islands, and some other places. I work out of a firm in London. I work on my own behalf in the U.S. We practice mainly in securities, international transactions, cryptocurrency as of the last few years, where there's been a lot of need for counsel that'll wade into that because, of course, it's international in scope. And I'm also a college professor. I have a PhD in political science, and I teach at Norwich University, courses in counterterrorism, international law, regional studies.
Amazing. I was unaware of that last part. That's pretty darn cool. So, okay, so you know your way around the block. Now, you have a ton of SEC experience. Talk about that. How, because that became very evident when Mike and I engaged you as our attorney. Tell us about your experience with the SEC.
Right. Well, I've been practicing before the SEC for, at least 10 years. I went into that much before crypto got going on the what they call penny stock end of it, because there wasn't a lot of attorneys who would deal with that sort of thing, and with international listings. That was pretty much the Wild West back then. And then cryptocurrency came in, and the same bad actors moved in from penny stocks into cryptocurrency, and the SEC and other agencies have been very slow to move into that field. So now we have all this crazy panic and catch up going on. A lot of good people trying to use the new technology, use cryptocurrency, and there's not a lot of clarity. So that's a field that is of great interest to me.
Excellent. Excellent. I just realized that I can't see any comments, so I'm going to go another route to see if I can pull up the comments. There they are. I'm just going to say hello. Sometimes that gets them going. Okay, great. Give that a like. But you know what, John? It doesn't look like it's live streaming. That's...
Yeah, well, I had a message that said you were going to live stream, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like it's live streaming on my feed, but when I go a different route. All right, I'm sorry, everyone. We're going to proceed as if this is. And what I'm going to do here, just in case, I'm going to start recording this as well on my computer. Then we will, let's see. Man, where the heck is it? This doesn't make for good TV, does it? Ah, here we go. Record on this computer. All right, there we go. And just in case, we're going to record. Okay, I wish I could take all of that back for anybody watching live, but I don't think there are many who are anyway. So we're going to proceed. Okay, so thank you. That we've established that you are your bona fides warrant that we should be paying attention to you. Let me go to, I want to go to this article that you sent me. Let me expand it a little bit. And it is share screen. Boom. Okay, this is from the National Law Review, November 2nd, 2023. And it's the new Corporate Transparency Act disclosure requirements set for 2024. Instead of us reading this article, Jonathan, would you mind just telling us what is this and why should we be concerned?
Right. Jonathan. Well, you should be afraid and concerned. This is the biggest power grab by the federal government since I don't know when, since Obamacare. And it's probably for small and medium businesses the worst thing to come down the road since Y2K. What happened is, unbeknownst to almost everyone, in 2020, Congress, as part of a national defense bill, passed a rule saying all corporations and LLCs in the U.S. must register with Finsen.
What is Finsen?
Right. Finsen is the anti-money laundering arm of the U.S. Department of Treasury. You can look them up at Finsen, FINCEN.gov. Okay. And you must register, you must affirmatively register your company with Finsen. You must, the forms aren't up there yet, but you have to fill out a fairly extensive questionnaire every year, annually. Who are your officers, directors, and beneficiaries? A lot of that information is not even required by the states, which maintain the corporate registries.
Right.
So the feds are asking for additional information that has never been asked before. They're putting it in a national registry, quote unquote, to prevent money laundering. It's for your benefit, Todd. They're going to do that. And you have to produce identification. So to date, if you wanted to set up a corporation in New York, you did not have to produce identification. You did not have to register who the directors are or the beneficiaries. Now, Uncle Sam wants to know everything about your LLC or your C or S Corp. And that's millions and millions of small to medium-sized businesses. Now, of course, the big guys, the hedge funds, the public companies, the banks, they're all exempted.
Sure, they're exempted.
But the small to medium businessman or micro businessman, you now have an affirmative duty to register with the Department of Treasury by January 1st, 2025, beginning January 1st, 2024. If you don't, you will be subject to severe penalties, up to and including $500 a day fines, potentially tax evasion charges, and criminal charges. This is like a mega thing that they're doing. It's similar to when U.S. citizens and persons had to report offshore bank accounts and offshore corporations. And people who didn't report, some of them got hit with very severe fines. Some went to jail. Wow. This, however, is by a magnitude of 1,000 times bigger. Imagine all corporations and LLCs in the U.S. that are not exempt from this, which the big guys are exempt, and there's a few small exemptions we can get into. But and so it applies to you, even if your company's not doing much of anything.
Oh yeah.
Even if you're not filing a tax return.
How many of us have set up an LLC here or there, and we kind of had an entrepreneurial bent. I know that there are some cryptocurrencies that operate under
They
LLCs
do.
and these things,
That's right.
and anonymous ones, right? So
Right.
those directors, the people who establish those, now they're going to have to report to Finsen that they are, to be lawful, that who they are.
Well,
And so,
and that's where the power grab is, Todd, because let's say there's decentralized exchanges operating in the US. They're actually LLCs, as you pointed out.
yeah,
Now they have to register with the feds, and that puts them
right,
under federal jurisdiction. If they don't register correctly, the feds will come after them. It's just simply taking something that constitutionally was under the purview of the states and
right.
switching it over through a devious method to federal jurisdiction. So we now have a federal corporate registry. It's not open to you and me, but it's an open book to federal agencies. So that's a real problem. And it doesn't just include the states, all US territories, US Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Guam, Western Samoa, or sorry, American Samoa are included, as well as Indian tribal registries. Some of the tribes have corporate
That's
registries as well. That's
right.
included.
That's
And
amazing. That's how they get those Indians.
yep,
I'm serious, because I know a guy who represents basically an entity that says, look, you can operate, in total private, as one of us, as
right.
part of our Indian nation or whatever. I
That's
can't
right.
remember.
Right. Right. The
Uh,
Catawba do that down where I am in the Carolinas. Catawba.
yeah. So now they're going to have to,
Yes. Yeah. If you have a Catawba corporation, guess what? You have to register with Finsen. No more anonymity with no more anonymous New Mexico LLCs. No more New York and Colorado companies where you don't have to name the directors. So it's a big change. And
boy,
additionally,
does that mean that if, let's just say that I have operated LLC and I have a board of directors, let's say it's a 9 directors, and does that mean I have to get their identification as well, or I just have to name them?
well, it's unclear because FinCEN has not yet put the rules and forms up on their website. We'll
Okay.
find out after January 1st. Basically, Congress passes the law and the federal agency is responsible for enforcing it and making the rules.
Wow.
So that's how it works.
Jonathan, 2 people who I respect greatly, Andy Scheckman, I had him on my show yesterday, and then I was on co-hosting with Mike Adams, and I asked both of them if they were aware of the Corporate Transparency Act, and they're really smart people, and they had not heard a thing about this. So if this goes into effect January 1st, 2024, there's going to be some mad dashes in December, right?
Well, yeah, if you want out of this, if you want out of this, you have to either dissolve your corporation correctly, which means bringing it current, dissolving it, and getting it out of there before January 1st, 2025, or you need to migrate it to another jurisdiction, or there's also some exemptions for tax exempt nonprofit companies and their subsidiaries. That's
right.
all it. Now, there's a big raft of exemptions for big guys, pooled
Yeah.
investment funds, publicly listed companies, people like that don't have to worry about it. But of course, again, they file so much stuff with the government anyway.
Yeah.
They shouldn't need to worry about it. But everyone else who has privacy issues, that's all been swept away by your friends in Congress, by Republicans and Democrats who overwhelmingly passed this as part of some national defense bill.
Wait,
And that
in 2020, that would have been Trump still in office.
might have been Trump, might have been Biden, but regardless, it's the two-party swindle where they'll say
Yeah.
one thing and then they'll pass the Patriot Act, they'll do this
Yeah.
and that, and except for maybe the odd person like former Congressman Ron Paul, no one says much of anything, and they all eventually go along with the game plan, which is to take away your rights and take away states' rights as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put in a little plug for my decentralized directory. If people go to decentralizeddirectory.com, take control of your future with yours truly. And if you scroll down to watch the video, by the way, it's a short intro video, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. And then sign up for our newsletter. And when you do, you're going to receive a free bonus guide that really does unlock the world of cryptocurrency for you. But the reason why I'm showing this is to you, Mike Adams and I were all about decentralization, and I have a key partner site here. Key partners supporting decentralization. So Miles Kimball, by the way, if you go here, our featured partner, Miles Franklin, and you want to get precious metals, I was able to get Andy Scheckman to put a nice little offer together. You get a free silver eagle with a $1,500 order. And if you click on that, you go here, you'll learn how to be able to claim that. But we have, as some of our partners, Above Phone, Miles Franklin, Freedom Solar Power, Food Forest Abundance, and then Mike's store, Health Ranger store. But my little area, my slice of life here is tax saving strategies, earnings and asset protection. Keep more of what you earn and protect your wealth generationally. And if you click on that, that's what I'm suggesting you do. I want you to go and just study this a little bit, because this is a tax advantaged product that I can walk you through. You can book an hour with me down there. I can walk you through it, but this would put you in a tax exempt entity. I'll say no more other than that. I will tell you what it's not, and that's too good to be true. Okay, I wanted to just get that out there, because part of what this new con says, we'll go back to screen share. You referenced it, and we're going to scroll down here. And what is a reporting company? It goes and shows you. So the exceptions include, and it goes through and talks about, all the Druid Babylonian bastard type companies. But then down here it says tax exempt entities. So back about what I would just said at decentralizeddirectory.com, come kick the tires, such as nonprofits, political organizations, and certain trusts. But then subsidiaries of exempt entities. So are you telling me that you could have a tax exempt entity, and out of that entity create an LLC that would be exempt?
That's correct, because you can have let's say a 501c3, which is known as a public charity, which is the most common sort of tax exempt.
Yep.
Although the associations you're talking about are also far more common than people think.
Yes.
But the tax exempt corporation can have a LLC or a corporation as a subsidiary. You're allowed to do that. And because the ultimate parent organization is tax-free. So that is possible under this. Of course, the exemption I like are trusts, because they're not, and they're unique to the US trusts.
Yeah.
And trusts aren't registered with anybody.
Well, yeah, amen. Trusts are good, but you have to renew those, right?
No, a trust, trust doesn't need to be renewed because it's not registered. So
but isn't the person who opens the trust, don't they have to associate their social security number with that trust?
No, sir. You can open up a revocable trust, and you don't have to put a social security. First of all, you can open up a trust, and if there's nothing in it that's producing income, and you're not opening a bank account, you don't need a tax ID number. Right?
Okay, but if you do need a bank account,
if you do need a bank account, depending on the type of trust, revocable or irrevocable, you can use your own social security number for a revocable trust. Those are your living trusts, and they're mainly, revocable.
Yeah, what we want to stay away from our own social security number.
Yeah, you can use that, or you go to irs.gov and you can get a EIN for any trust you want. So they have, and then you open up a bank account. Now,
and then the EIN number, is that tax exempt?
No, it's just a regular. It's not tax exempt, but a trust is exempt from this registration requirement because it's not a corporation.
Okay, so the difference between what you're talking about and what I present, I'm just wanted to be clear with people, is the EIN number that is provided by the IRS for my entity is a tax exempt EIN.
Right, and of course, the other difference is a trust cannot usually engage in active business activities.
Yeah.
So a trust can hold, brokerage accounts, or it could hold property.
Yeah, right.
Accounts. Whereas the entity you have, which would be an unincorporated association, could engage within whatever's in its charter or its bylaws.
You got it. Okay, perfect. Anyway, there is help out there, folks, and that's why I'm really glad I learned about what I present now. 4 years ago, it's been very good to me, and for lots of reasons. But that's worth a phone call with me. Okay, so so what are people going to have to do here? Are they going to have to register once Finsen puts the documents up on their website?
It's on the citizen. It's on the taxpayer. You have to go.
And do you have to do it before
January 1st, 2025? You're supposed to be compliant with Finsen regulations, and I believe that means bringing your corporation compliant as well.
Wait, you said 2025. Is it 2025 or 2024?
Well, beginning January 1st, 2024, the registration period will start. And then everyone's got a year to get caught up.
Okay. I thought you have to have, what together by January 1st, 2024.
It's going to be a year because Finsen hasn't published its rules, or we don't even know what they're going to be asking for now.
Man, is this just going to create a massive amount of like ambulance chaser attorneys on TV?
That's why I call it Y2K. You remember well, you're old enough to remember that.
I remember.
Y2K. Yeah. The end of the world was coming, and people stayed home on New Year's Eve, right? 1999, December 31st. I went out.
You know where I was? I was at the very top of the World Trade Center. Our company, we just sold to AOL Time Inc., our company. It was like $1 billion exit. And so the founders of our company, they rented out the top of World Trade Center, and it was the most amazing party I ever went to. And but then when I think about it now, I'm like, wow, that would have been a good time to bring down the towers.
Yeah, well, anyway, the Y2K scammers were out there in force, as you know.
Yes.
And everyone was stampeded into all sorts of stuff. And there's been similar panics over the EU regulations on website disclosures. And also, of course, there was the FATCA and Patriot Act rules, but nothing of this magnitude.
So they always play the long game, right? So what's the long con here? What do they want? Because we know the Patriot Act sounded great, right? But it was all about our security. But we know we forever will be accosted by blue shirts going through the airports because of that Patriot Act. So this is about some different level of financial control, is it not?
Yes, it is. I mean, the ostensible reason for it is anti-money laundering, right?
Okay.
The feds need to know about every single corporation in the U.S., even though the states have registries and are constitutionally tasked with policing the corporations. The feds, Finsen specifically, a law enforcement agency arm of U.S. Treasury, needs this information in a registry. And if you don't register, that's a separate offense. So what's going on here is, of course, they're not going to examine every single corporation in the U.S. What they're doing is essentially federalizing companies. The whole process of having a company has now been federalized. So they have grabbed from the states control of companies, and they can then, once they've got you on this, what's to stop them from passing other rules? We could call it the diversity rules, right? Now every company has to be diverse. Now every company has to have an anti-slavery something or other, or an anti-African hairdo clause in it. Everybody's got to be climate aware. Now it's
wow.
So that's
you are right.
Right.
And so this is just the slow boil, right? I mean, they're just going to incrementalize conditions for you to be able to
operate as a company. That's right. And that is closing down.
This is bad.
100 years of American ingenuity in companies. And the U.S. was the best place and easiest place in the world to open a company.
Yeah.
Now it's not.
This is really bad.
It's really bad. They're going to use it to persecute people. Additionally, the exemptions are very few and far between, except for the big guys. If you have a nonprofit corporation, you're not exempt. You're only exempt if that nonprofit corporation is a tax exempt nonprofit. So there's millions, or maybe hundreds of thousands of nonprofit corporations that pay taxes. They have to register too. Everybody's got to register. And it's really going to burn people who've come to the U.S. from outside the U.S. and open companies. They may not even be aware of these requirements. If you remember Delaware, well, that Delaware billed itself as the world's offshore center. People
Yeah.
trusted in Delaware corporations. There are hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people outside the US who have Delaware corporations to hold property in the US, non-US persons.
Yeah.
They are specifically getting cracked down on. So even if
Jeez.
you had a shell company that does nothing, never did do anything, if you're a foreign person, you still have to register. If you're a US citizen, you don't with a shell company. But even
Wow.
foreign owned shells have to register. So it is massive. It's a big sweep. And again, you can thank your congressman for this one.
Well, what is this going to do? Let's war game this out. What is this going to do for the, you know, getting up every morning, giving the good fight as an entrepreneur business person? What kind of onerous burdens is this going to put on them to where it's almost like an on purpose with intent building 7 demolition, where you don't see it coming, but boy, airplane didn't even hit building 7, and by gosh, it went down too.
Yeah.
Jonathan.
Well, we forget, you and me, we deal in corporations, but
Yeah.
your average businessman, the corporation's a bit of a mystery. Even when I
Yes.
started out practicing law, I was amazed. Oh, you could set up corporations. I mean, most people don't have that kind of facility with corporate or companies law. So just the mere fact of having to register with the Department of the Treasury is going to be onerous and
Yeah.
nerve-wracking for them. They're going to make mistakes. There's going to be problems. So yeah, what this does is make business very difficult to do for the common person in the US. No longer
Yeah.
can you go down to LegalZoom online, get an LLC set up, and then you're done, right? Except
Yeah.
maybe pay someone once a year. No, now it's going to be, we got these federal requirements that can change every year. And, um,
Oh, and then what's going to happen is they're going to integrate all of that with any kind of bank account setup. So you're going to get the Heisman at the bank if they can't go check the box and say, yeah, they're registered with
that's
Finsen.
right. That's right. That's coming down the pike too. You're not going to be compliant. To have a bank account, you're going to have to be compliant, presumably with the Treasury Department regulations.
Yeah. And then Finsen could declare you just with a snap of their fingers an enemy of the state for some reason and tell the banks to lock all of your funds.
Well, they could. A good example of that is what the SEC does with what are called blue sheets. I don't know if you know that term, but
yeah,
if you're they say a day trader and you're a little bit too successful trading stocks, the SEC will request your so-called blue sheets, which are actually your brokerage records from your broker.
Yeah.
So let's see if this guy's been getting too many inside tips, and let's look for a pattern. Well, when the SEC does that, guess what happens? Your brokerage sends you a notice saying your business is no longer wanted. Goodbye.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen with banks. Many of your listeners probably have had bank accounts closed for reasons that were never explained. The reason is anytime a bank receives an inquiry, a subpoena, or an inquiry from the feds on one of their accounts, the next thing they do is close that account.
Yes.
So you've got 30 days to remove your money. That's what happens. So and again, look at this. The Finsen sends an inquiry or says there's a deficiency here. You're going to lose your banking facility.
Exactly. Wow. I just want to read this from the article. The purpose of the CTA, this is them talking about this. The purpose of the CTA is to better enable critical national security, intelligence, and law enforcement efforts to counter money laundering, the financing of terrorism, and other illicit activity by creating a federal framework for reporting, storing, and disclosing beneficial ownership information of reporting companies. So think again, rewind to the Patriot Act and how that was all about, control of your where you go and your body even. Now we're talking about the financial side of your life. And if this doesn't scare the crap out of everybody, this money laundering stuff, think about the exploiting of the gray, right? They can exploit the gray so easily, with those words, right? Because all it takes is a false assertion to be able to put you in the bucket of a financial terrorist. Right, Jonathan?
Well, look who's exempt from that. Yeah, if I
Yeah.
was going to look for terrorism financing, I might look at CARE, Council on Arab, what is it, Arab Islamic Relations.
Yes.
But they're a bona fide tax exempt nonprofit. They don't have to register with Finsen.
Nothing to see
So
here.
it
Carry
doesn't
on.
stop terrorism financing. Terrorism financing isn't going through LLCs. It's not going through corporations. It's going through nonprofits. They're using, it's going through U.S. dollar token accounts at Binance. That's where your terrorism financing is going happening.
Right.
So it's all just smoke and mirrors to grab the one of the last few things that was under the control of the states.
Now, why haven't the states been up in arms bitching about this? They've had 3-4 years.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it was just snuck through, to tell you the truth, and I don't know why. Well, first of all, it doesn't affect the states initially. Now, what's going to happen is the states like Delaware, which make a lot of money from their corporate registry, are going to see a huge fall off,
Mm-hmm.
and and then they'll be on the hotline to Joe Biden. Oh yeah, Joe, this is your buddies back here in Delaware. We've got a code red here and
Right.
but it hasn't happened yet. So, but
So what do people do, John? Is there anything, or is it just simply you need to work on your hamstrings so when you bend over, it doesn't hurt so much?
yeah, I mean, you personally you can't do much except be proactive, which is either get your corporate registration up to snuff, be ready to register at Finsen, or take measures to get yourself out of that system. And there are several exemptions, including the ones that we've been discussing for tax exempt
Yeah,
organizations.
well, people know how to reach me, decentralizeddirectory.com, and you can go through and click around, and there's a way to book an hour with me if you want to explore anything. But how would people get a hold of you, Jonathan
You can
Levy?
get a hold of me through my website, jlevy, JLEVY.co.
Okay,
JLEVY.co is my US website. I have one in London, but that's probably not going to be relevant for this. JLEVY.co.
excellent. Okay, so that's the Corporate Transparency Act. Now I want to talk to you, if you don't mind, maybe we just pivot a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, because of my special relationship with you and Mike Adams' special relationship with you, we spent lots of time together. And again, thank you for your service and representation. Crypto, there's a boatload of scams in crypto, and you're very aware of them. I believe. Oh, I heard through little Birdie, somebody who you represent as well, that you just kind of knocked one out of the park, right? You had a big win recently.
Yeah, we had a case that was pending in Dublin, Ireland, before the Irish government regarding a domain .io. .io,
Mm-hmm.
of course, is the major domain for crypto sites, or was, and
Yeah.
we had some consumer issues there. They defaulted. The owner of the domain defaulted, and now we're going to take that issue over to IANA, which is the Internet Names Association, to see if we can get a reassignment of that domain. And the point there were so many scams for the last 10 years perpetrated on .io.
Mm.
Um, and all these scammers, you remember the high yips, the high yield investment
Yeah.
fund based on cryptocurrency. Our point with them was all you needed was a crypto wallet and a website. You no
Mm-hmm.
longer needed a company. You no longer needed a bank account. And the corporate domain registries were not living up to what the rules are. The rules are they're not supposed to allow criminal activity. And
Mm-hmm.
these sites, the high yield investment funds, the high yips, the crypto scams, the false trading platforms, it goes on and on. We're obviously on their face frauds. No one's looking at it. And we said, .io, the domain owner has some responsibility. Now, the other weird thing about .io is that people don't know this. It doesn't stand for input output. It is a country code top level domain for British Indian Ocean Territory, which is what? Diego Garcia Naval Base,
Mm.
secret US naval base. That's the only thing in that territory. So the site of worldwide crypto crime is actually a national security territory. Go figure that out.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So with winning whatever you won, that means your client is going to potentially own the .io.
Yeah, we're going to take that over there and ask for a reassignment of .io and try to clean it up.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah,
That's great.
and that's on behalf of a large group of consumers that have been defrauded for years. It's on behalf of the people that used to live on Diego Garcia who were deported by the U.S. government back in the 70s to make way for the naval base.
Amazing. So, well, congratulations on that. And I know because of that, you became very, very familiar with any and every scam out there. And within crypto, there have been, it's been really easy for people to just make a value proposition and raise money just by providing some wallet addresses, perhaps a wire, an account to be able to wire money to. And so I would like to know if someone wanted to raise, let's say, $500,000 and they went to a community to be able to raise it. I've observed a recent raise that's similar to that. And what I never saw, I didn't participate, but what I never saw, Jonathan, was any kind of prospectus or any documentation, anything that would be a disclosure of risks. And again, I'm in the corporate world, right? And so I'm used to all of that stuff, being able to see that if I'm going to make an investment, whether in an initial public offering or a company, I'm going to be able to receive a document that has use of funds, that has all of the risk disclosures. And when that is not provided to anybody, it's just like a false promise in a Telegram DM. Can that at all, when a successful raise of almost $500,000, can that be lawful?
Well, sure it is. It's just it probably is, based on your description, sounds like a secondary raise. Doesn't even sound like an ICO.
No, it's not. Wasn't an ICO. It's just an appeal to be able to.
That's just a promotion, is what it is. A unregistered promotion by someone acting as an unregistered dealer broker. That's illegal. That is wire fraud, especially if people didn't get what they were promised.
Well, I don't think there was that's the elusive thing. What were people getting for their money? Nobody knew. I know a lot of people who made an investment in this project and none of them know what they were supposed to get. They were offered some assets of a different project that, never were.
Well, what you're describing, Todd, is it's not unique to crypto. It's called an affinity fraud. That is, you have a group of people, whether they're related by a political organization or a religious group or an association of some sort, and someone infiltrates that and perpetrates the fraud, simply called an affinity fraud, because you don't question your buddy, right? Or you don't question,
that's right.
You don't question the minister or the reverend or the founder. You don't question any of those people because you trust them, and they abuse that trust. And that's happened. That happens with crypto. It happens with Ponzi schemes, pyramid schemes. It is simply called affinity fraud. So it's not unique to crypto. Now, the nice thing about crypto for the scammers is, remember, Satoshi was going to bank the unbanked. Well, here we're actually unbanking the scammer who can't get a bank account. That's the lovely thing about crypto, because you don't have to do a wire transfer necessarily. You just transfer it to some anonymous wallet that then, if you ever get it together to trace it, goes to a Binance account somewhere offshore.
How does the SEC designate wire fraud?
Well, the SEC designates what's actually wire fraud is a criminal offense, and the SEC will prosecute wire fraud on the civil side of it. The Department of Justice, and it's oftentimes there's a parallel prosecution. Department of Justice will prosecute wire fraud as a crime. It's a major crime, felony.
So if something happens, raise happens, people are harmed, nothing is distributed, does time just take care of it? People forget it. And
unfortunately, most victims will blame themselves or just write it off, especially the great thing about crypto, it's great, but I mean, the thing about crypto fraud is, for some reason, people have it in their minds that, oh, it's normal. It's like they treat it like they're going to the casino. You either get a 10 bagger right away, or you lost and you just write it off. Never mind
Right.
that your bet was never placed, and that's the problem.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Because in this specific case, it harmed a project that I've covered for a lot of years. You know which one it is, and
Right.
and I love this project, and I love the tech, and I love the community, and mostly not the leadership, but it just kills me to see how this specific one is down so much since all of this bullshit happened. As a matter of fact, when I was approached, Jonathan, I asked a very important person in my life, my grandson, if I should participate in this, and this is what he said. Bear with me.
A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. We have to do that one more time. So, grandson, should I participate in this raise?
A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
Oh, where's my mouse so that I can stop sharing that? Okay, have to have a little fun there. But I really feel bad for a lot of people. And the problem is, what happens is when something like this happens, it taints a project. It becomes, and I want to be able to bounce back from all of this.
Kill the project. Look at what Mashinsky did to Celsius token, right?
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
He killed that good, and he's going to go to prison for it too. And Sam Bankman-Fried, same thing. And these guys were people a year ago everyone was looking up to. Oh, they're saviors of crypto and this and that.
Yeah.
So and they turned out to be massive crooks on the scale of Ruja Ignatova in OneCoin, who's on the top 10 FBI 10 most wanted list.
Wow.
And that scam's still continuing. OneCoin, it's out there. 935,000 addresses on Polygon who paid 50 euros each to change their worthless Ledger tokens on an Excel spreadsheet to a worthless Polygon token. So it continues and continues. And unfortunately, in the case of the one you're talking about, as long as people still maintain a false belief in this, in the person who's doing this, it'll continue, and you'll see this again and again. And
that's why I can't engage with good conscience. Yeah. I used to cover it twice a week, and the reason why is because I love the tech, and I really it's fantastic. It is my favorite privacy coin. But with good conscience, I mean, I put out there an Epic Private Money. If anybody wants to follow a non-censored channel, go to t.me/Epic Private Money. I'm not saying non-censored. If there's some douche in there, I'll hit the ban hammer as quick as I should. But it is one where, with this specific project, anybody wants to talk some Epic Cash, you can go in there and we can have some real conversations that aren't going to be just immediately deleted and you banned. So, and I think people are finding that a breath of fresh air. But I have placed in there, I have a couple of conditions to re-engage. And, that's frankly, this person just, leaving the project and giving up the dev tax wallet. And I kind of had some communication where the guy said, I think I'm going to do that. And then since, nothing. So I feel like after that conversation, I just think maybe it was an insincere outreach to me. And it breaks my heart because people know I would like to cover it. I'd like to get some guests that would come on to be able to talk about what's happening and everything. But until and when, and you know what? That's the rest of the community's issue at this point in time, because, you know, if you're the definition of insanity is trusting the same people over and over and expecting a different outcome.
Right. And it's a shame too, Todd, because everyone should have part of their portfolio in a privacy coin that's not Monero. So
why not Monero? Because Monero is the #1 privacy coin. It's the most liquid privacy coin.
Right.
It's the most used privacy coin. Tell us, you surprised me yesterday when we had a personal conversation and you were saying not Monero. Tell us why. Unpack that, John.
Well, the reason is that Monero has been targeted by the U.S. intelligence agency. Remember, I teach agents for the federal and state authorities at Norwich University in counterterror. Monero has been targeted because it is, for better or worse, they say that's being used for terrorism financing. You know, even though it probably isn't, even though likely US dollar token is far more dirty than
right.
Monero.
Yeah.
But they've targeted that. Therefore, if you're caught in possession, let's say the feds are looking into you and you're holding Monero in your, let's see, the feds somehow get a hold of your crypto wallet or your account and you're holding Monero, that's prima facie evidence of bad acts. It's the same thing as the TSA mentality. If you're caught going through a TSA checkpoint at the airport and you've got, say, 8,000 in cash, guess what? They don't like you. They take it from you and say, go prove it's not for criminal activity.
Do they really?
Well, that's what they do all the time. I mean, Fox News has been full of stories about this for years. It happened to my father-in-law. He came over a few years ago from Ukraine and to visit, and they thought, oh, Ukrainian, maybe he's got money. They took him aside at Chicago, strip searched the old guy. He's like 80 years old. Cut his belt open, looking for a stash of cash because they were going to take it. Because you walk through with any significant amount of cash at a TSA checkpoint under federal law, if they think that it's for use in criminal activity, they're allowed to grab it, claiming you were going to buy drugs.
Well, that's why I love private crypto. I mean, but even with Monero, good luck. I mean, it's
well, Monero, they just prima facie, they'll take it and say you're guilty of bad acts.
But only if they have your keywords to your wallet.
Well, that's right. But you know, again, if they've got you, let's put it this way: if they got the person, they've got the keys. So yeah, you can keep your keys, but they'll lock you up till you give the keys. And that's happened to people who had offshore trusts, for example.
Really?
Yeah, well, say you've heard of Cook Island trusts, right? Most secure type of trust in the world. They're very secure. The Cook Island trustee will not send money anywhere without your say-so. So what the feds do, they go, screw you. We're just going to lock you up on contempt until you order the trustee to send the money to your ex-wife.
Wow. Right? And if you're like me and just have a real shitty memory and never wrote them down.
Well, but they have locked people up. And see, there was, if you remember the guy they caught down in Georgia down the state of Georgia, north of Atlanta somewhere, within the last year or two, he had the proceeds of a huge hack from about 10 years ago in Bitcoin. They just locked him up until he turned everything over. And that's what they do. And so you cooperate or you get held incommunicado.
Wow. So Monero has a bullseye on it.
It does, but there's other privacy tokens. The one we've been referencing, Epic, could be a good alternative.
Yeah.
And remember this too. This is the other thing I was saying. That's another big sleeper that's out there. The IRS is after your crypto. The IRS is after your crypto. Why do I say that? Because everyone who's filled out a tax form the last 2 or 3 years, I think it's 2 years, there's been a little checkbox on there. Do you own cryptocurrency? Well, if you say no, I'll tell you as a member of the tax court bar, if you say no to that and you own cryptocurrency, you've committed a felony. You have put in a false document to the IRS. That's a felony. So that's why they're asking. They're setting people up. Do you own cryptocurrency? They're not asking to tax you on that cryptocurrency. Do you own it? It's on your tax. It's on your tax form. If you put no and you do, big problems if they come back later and audit you. And you say, well, how are they going to audit my cryptocurrency? Well, guess what, guys? Coinbase is already reporting it. All the U.S. exchanges already have
Right.
for the last few years, information sharing with the IRS. Additionally, where do you keep your crypto? Well, I keep it in Exodus. It's in a privacy wallet. Hey, guess what? Exodus is a US LLC. They
Yeah.
will turn over records. Oh, well, it's secure. It's a Trezor. This, I mean, they have so many ways of tracing your crypto now. The IRS has a huge, they really bulked up on it. And I think a lot of that new funding that was coming from the Biden administration is going into the crypto division at the IRS.
Yeah.
They are really getting good at chain analysis and everything else. And they know who's got crypto and who doesn't. And the other scary thing about the IRS, if I could just say for a minute, that's okay.
Yeah.
There are rules on what's taxable. You go, okay, well, I don't mind paying tax on crypto. Let's say I bought Bitcoin, at 20,000 and I sell at 25. Yeah, I'll pay capital gains, right? That's not how the IRS looks at it. Yes, capital gains are taxable, but let's say you got some altcoins at some point that have a value or a nominal value and you trade them for something else.
Yeah.
Taxable transaction. Let's say you on a decentralized exchange, you change your Ether for some altcoin. Taxable transaction. Anytime you change currencies, taxable transaction. You pay for a service or you buy a pizza with crypto. Taxable transaction. All the capital gains comes due.
You know what? I'm going to oh shoot, I lost you. There you go. I just want to screen share. People go to asacoins.com. It's worth a read. Let's see. We have written confirmation from the IRS that trading between cryptographic coins is not taxable, only when you exit it to fiat. Cryptocurrency exchanges are tax-free with the right account. No, that's a bulletproof. But if you go here, this is John J. Singleton. I really like him a lot. I find him very credible. He helped me when I had my 3-count lawsuit against Costco over this mask nonsense. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to dig around for the written confirmation, right. But between assets is not taxable. It is only between crypto assets. It's only when you convert those back to fiat. That is when
let's say you convert Ether to Bitcoin, taxes come due. Taxes come due on your Ether gains if you have any.
We'll agree to disagree because I'd love to maybe have you and John J. Singleton on a live stream to discuss that. That would be a good topic.
I've been through this with the IRS, and I can tell you, if you change from one crypto to another, taxable transaction. Now, the only thing taxable is whatever gain you may have realized, not the transaction itself. But or you purchase a service with crypto, it's taxable to you. Any gains you may have realized because you've now changed your crypto for a service. Now they have not enforced those rules. This is what I'm saying. They have not vigorously enforced.
I don't think they would know how. I mean, my goodness gracious.
Well, they targeted. They have Finsen. Our friends at Finsen have targeted Bitcoin blending. So, which is privacy thing.
But that's a public that's a public ledger. That's why you get into private crypto. So
that's right.
And what's beautiful about Epic Cash, frankly, is unlike Monero, which is just obfuscating the transaction, there's still the transaction information, including sender, recipient, amount that's in that. It's just obfuscated. So the beautiful thing about Mimblewimble technology is you can AI that all you want, but there's no data in there. It's poof, not there. It's not required. It's just all math. So
that's why everyone should hold some privacy coin. And Epic would be a good one, if not for the issues we've alluded to here. Which
I hope the community ultimately participates in applying enough pressure to be able to get it to where the nonsense is in the rearview mirror. Let's Control-Alt-Delete this thing and start afresh. And because harm was done, major harm was done to a lot of different people. And I believe that you can never have. This is one thing that came to mind yesterday afternoon when I was thinking this through. You can never have what's the word for when somebody says, "Oh yeah," you can never heal when you're wronged without the other party authentically being repentant.
Right.
Who with all of their heart says, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Please forgive me. I take accountability." Without that, you're just hand waving it to the next con, frankly. And that's why I wanted to be able to have you on, is what we have to do, everybody, is stop the future cons. We have to learn our lessons, and we have to be way more diligent when considering, anything having to do with cryptocurrency and arrays.
It's just the whole I represent a lot of the Celsius bag holders, and people really got harmed by Celsius, which was supposedly the world's largest crypto bank, and it was just nonsense. It was on the same scale as FTX, which of course I had an FTX account too. I didn't have anything in it much when it went bankrupt, but people really got screwed. So and then it's like the claims that these crypto promoters made are just absurd. They claim they have insurance. They claim they have 750 million in insurance or 2 billion in insurance, but they don't. They don't have your crypto assets insured. They claim, they make all kinds of claims. They were paying, as you know, absurd interest rates on crypto banking. How do you pay 18% on Celsius when the interest rates were 1%?
PONZI?
What's that?
PONZI, perhaps?
Yeah, well, that's what it was. It was a Ponzi. That's right. That money went in, money went. How could you do these crypto loans that made no sense? Well,
right.
That's the problem. But these were the big shots. These are the big guys. And I got to tell you, there's problems out there. I mean, I have real questions about exchanges like Binance. Huobi, which is a huge exchange, doesn't even appear to have a headquarters anymore.
Yeah.
They got run out of the Seychelles, or they left or something, not that they were actually there. And there are problems. Even as crypto is going up, there's institutional problems there.
Right. Which, by the way, people should also consider, when you want to decentralize your own financial situation, precious metals. And I will tell you how you receive your free Silver Eagle. If you go to, if you reach out to Miles Franklin, send him an email, info@milesfranklin.com, and request their PDF of prices. It's way different than what you will see on their website. So you get that PDF. They're up-to-date current prices based upon, gold going up, gold going down, silver going up. And if you just tell them that Todd sent me, that then for a $1,500 order or more, you'll get a free Silver Eagle with that. And if you want to call them and speak directly to one of their registered brokers, it's 952-929-7006. So that'll save you a trip to decentralizeddirectory.com, unless you want to go look and try to understand a little bit more about the tax exempt entity that we discussed earlier. So, but yes, we want to get our shitty green cash out of the banks to where it's melting and get it into assets that we can self-custody. So precious metals is very important, and certain private cryptos that man, I hope I can start talking about again one day. Okay, well, look, we've hit an hour and it's been great. And I don't know if this did live stream. If not, I have recorded it to the computer and I will just edit it and upload it separately. But thanks a lot for joining me, Jonathan. You're a treasure trove of information, and I hope to have you on again.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I'd like to come on and answer legal questions that the listeners might have some time.
Okay.
They often come up with really good things that nobody's even thought of.
Okay, I like that. And I want to have you and John on, John J. Singleton on, to be able to have a little friendly exchange or debate about is if you sell into another digital asset, is that a taxable event? He says no, you say yes. So
Yeah, I would not. It's one of those things that's never clear. So
okay.
it's always best to get the full story on it.
Okay, that's right. That's right. Okay, everybody in the chat, if you're in the chat, I don't know if this is live streaming or not. I can't tell, but thank you for joining us. And if you're just watching this later because I had to upload the video, thank you for watching and hanging in there. And please do come visit t.me/epic private money. And it's not the epic about Epic Cash in that group. It's about private money being epic. So it's epic as an adjective, but we like the tech on Epic Cash a lot. So we have a lot of people in there that are familiar with Epic Cash, but t.me/epic private money. Come on in. We have a little over 500 members now, and it's growing. And we have some really, and it's not just, it's every private crypto who wants to come there. We just learned from Firo founder Ruben that they are publishing the Lelantis, or it's just hot off the press news from yesterday. So you can go in there, and so we just have a lot of good people across all of private crypto, and that's where you want to be able to have some of your wealth is in private crypto. So okay, what is today? Today is Friday. Let me share with you, this coming Wednesday, I'm starting a new series with Todd Lewis. He's lead tech on Epic Cash, and the series isn't about Epic Cash. It's going to be much more. It's going to be about decentralized options out there in finance, and within technology. And I don't even know. All I know is that Todd has some really good ideas, and he thinks it'll be really, really interesting. And I did a whole series with him called The Quest for Superior Money. We had about 40 shows where we went through all of the attributes of if you could invent the perfect private money or perfect money, what would it be? And you all know Todd Lewis to be a really great interview, always entertaining. So please visit us at youtube.com/@Decentralized Directory, which is this channel, and Wednesday at noon Eastern, and we'll commence with our first show. Okay, Jonathan, I think maybe we'll have you on like once a month. Does that sound all right?
Sure, be glad to.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Everybody have a great weekend.